Hi. All right, we've got some area questions with triangles and rectangles that we're going to try to answer here. So this first one here, part A, says a triangle has a base of 14 meters and an area of 39.2 square meters or meters squared. And we're trying to find the perpendicular height from the given base. So I've drawn a triangle here, and what we're going to do is do some labeling. So we know that our base is 14 meters. And we want to know what the perpendicular height is, which would be if you drop down from the center and try to figure out what that height value is. And we know the area. So the area is 39.2 square meters. I'm just going to leave it as 39.2 and we'll put our units in at the end. So I also know the area formula for a triangle is 1/2 of the base times the height, or base times height divided by 2. Some of you might do it that way instead. That totally will work as well. We know the area is 39.2. So what we're going to do is plug in the 39.2 for A. We're going to leave our 1/2. We're also going to plug in our base of 14 that we know, and we're trying to solve for h. So what you're going to do here is start to simplify this problem first. So what I could do is simplify 1/2 of 14. So half of 14 is 7. And from there, what I need to do is solve for h. So in order to solve for h, I'm going to have to divide by 7. So I'm going to switch to show my work here, and I'm going to have to divide by 7 on both sides to solve for h. And so in my calculator now, I'm going to grab 39.2, divide that by 7, and that will give me 5.6. So my final answer, I need to put my meters in, so it would be 5.6 meters, and that would be our answer there. Okay, moving on to our next one. A rectangle with area 1,512.5 centimeters squared, again, this should be squared, is twice as long as it is wide. Find its length. So I know length and width, that's a little L there, and width for a rectangle, or the same as base times height. It'll work the same way. I know my area. Actually, I'm going to type it in instead because it's easier to read, is 1,512.5. Again, I'm going to leave my units off until my final answer here. So I also know my area formula for a rectangle is base times height, or in this case, length times width. Okay, I also know it says in my problem that it is twice as long as it is wide. So that means my length is equivalent to 2 times the width. So I'm going to use that variable instead. So when I go to type this in, let me move that here. I'm going to replace my length with 2w, not 2x, 2w. And then I'm going to start to simplify and solve. I also know in this equation that my area is the 1,512.5. And when I do 2w times w, what that's going to get me is 2w squared. Okay. So from there, what we need to do is solve. So your first step here would be to solve for w squared and isolate that piece. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to divide both sides of my equation by 2. From there, I'll write it up here so you can see a little bit better. I grab my calculator and do 1,512.5 divided by 2, and that gives me 756.25, and that is my w squared. From there, I'm going to take a square root to get rid of the square on my W, which will get me my final answer. And I have to type it in correctly to make sure I do that. So I get 27.5 as my width. And then I want to put my units on it here. So this would be centimeters. But my question was, what's its length? So I know that my length is equal to 2W. So I would do 2 times 27.5, which gets me 55. And it would be centimeters. So that would be my final answer. Thanks for watching.